Hey, MLF Pro Brent Chapman here. Guys, I just wrapped up one of the most awesome tournaments I've had in a very, very long time, but I want to share with you truly the most memorable bass I've ever caught in 25 years of doing this. We were down at Smith Lake in Alabama, Bass Pro Tour event number 5, and the way the format works is the day begins when the clock starts ticking and the day ends when the time runs out, and that's how we compete. And it was the third day of the event, the knockout round, and we're out there, and the score tracker's going back and forth, and there's me and about 4 other guys battling it out right on that cut line. The whole goal after the knockout round was to make it to the championship round, and the top 10 got to go and got to fish the next day. The 11th guy didn't, and for most of the third period, it was back and forth. Somebody would catch a 1.5 pound fish and move in, guy'd move out. I was staying comfortably in there just a little bit, but then with maybe, I don't know, 30 minutes to go, I got knocked out. I was in that 11th place spot, and at that point, I was on the outside looking in, and I really didn't want, I wanted to make that cut. I mean, we're competitors, and I made an adjustment, went back over to a spot where I'd been starting in the mornings. It was an area full of buckbrush and willow trees, and in the mornings the shad would be spawning in there, and you could see every bush was alive with fish. Well, after the sun would come up and everything, the shad spawn would go away and those fish would kind of shut down. I mean, they would gorge themselves in the mornings and then wouldn't feed much later in the day. Well, there's one thing about doing this is you put a flipping stick in my hand and give me specific targets where those fish are. You flip at enough targets, you're eventually going to get a bite. And that's kind of the mindset I had with those last 30 minutes. I'm like, I'm going to go back to that spot and I'm going to hit every bush, knowing that every time I pitch my bait into one of those targets, I'm going to have the opportunity to catch a fish. And so we run over there, and I'm just pitching away. 7'5" Speed Demon Pro flipping stick, high speed reel, because I can reel up the line fast and pitch at another target, and when a fish hits it, I can reel down, set the hook fast, and get those fish in the boat. 20-pound gamma fluorocarbon line, very important. But this rod has tremendous backbone. That way, when I do get a bite in these bushes, I can yank them out, and I've got the upper hand. So anyway, the clock's ticking down. 5 minutes to go, 3 minutes to go, and I'm just 100 miles an hour pitching at bushes. I'd pitch the bait in there, I'd let it sink, raise it up once or twice, and typically in that setup, if the fish don't get it then, you're better off to hit another target. And I'm noticing as the clock's ticking down, and I'm kind of getting that sickening feeling of I'm going to get knocked out here, that it takes me about 10 seconds per pitch to pitch it in there, let the bait sink, work it once or twice, and reel it back in and make another pitch. And boat official goes 30 seconds, 20 seconds, and I'm pitching 10 seconds, and literally about at the 10-second mark, my bait's in the air, hits the water. 8 seconds, I raise that flipping stick up, and it's that feeling that we all love, and I feel my line heavy, and I see my line swimming off to the side. And at that point, that's why a high-speed reel is important. I reel down because it's reel down, set the hook, backbone of the rod is awesome, drives that hook right into the side of the fish's mouth, and the fight's on. And now it's counting down. I mean, it's 8, 7, and I've got this biggest bass I've caught all week out there at about 30 or 40 feet. So I've got this thing, and I mean, I just put the reel into gear. And I mean, I crank as hard as I can with the backbone of the rod. I pull this fish, and I've got him coming. Because at that point, it doesn't matter if I break the fish off or what. The whole key to that deal is I have to have that fish over the gunnel before the clock runs out, or it doesn't count. So I was putting more pressure on that fish than I normally would because I had to. And I was able to do that because, one, I'm confident in the equipment I was using. From the reel to the rod to the line, I know the kind of power I can put on that fish. And literally, I mean, I was putting power on this thing, cranking. And normally you see a swing fish in the boat, but we swing them in right beside the boat, get them in, try to catch them so they don't hit the floor. But on that instance, I mean, he's counting down 5, 4, and I literally just swing him from probably 15 feet away from the boat, and here he comes. I mean, I got him coming, the backbone of the rod's got him coming, and boom, he comes in with literally I think he came across the gunnel with 4 seconds to go. 3, 2, 1, it was over. So, you know, he counted, but we hadn't even weighed the fish yet. And I sat down, got that fish up, and I believe it was 3 pounds, 13 ounces. And at that point, I was like 1 pound, 5 ounces out of the cut. And, you know, at that point, whoever's in 10th place is, you know, they're excited. They're singing a sigh of relief because they're thinking they made it in. But they've learned that you don't count it till it's official. And it takes, you know, a minute or two for the cell signals and all that, for everything to compute that to make sure you're in. So guys are probably a little cautious now. And I promise you, I broke somebody's heart when they came and said, you know, you've been knocked to 11th. It was awesome for me when they told me, Brent Chapman, you've with that 313, you've moved to 9th place and advanced to the championship round. And you know, the other side of that too is I did the math in my head. If I would have been eliminated at that point in the event, it was a $6,000 payday, which is awesome. But that allowed me to go fish the championship round, move all the way to 2nd place, and it walked away with, I think, a $42,000 paycheck. So that was a little bit, about a $36,000 payday difference in a matter of 10 seconds. So truly one of my most amazing catches in my whole entire career. I will never forget that fish. And it's a reminder to me, you never give up, because things can literally happen in the last second. And you know, if I'd have been using something different, if I'd have been using a spinning rod with 6 or 8 pound line, I wouldn't have done it. But you know, with the setup I had in my hand, I was confident to give myself every possible second in the water, and I did it. I mean, you know, the Speed Demon Pro 7'5" flipping KastKing Bassmaster Elite reel, 8 1-to-1 gear ratio, 20 pound gamma line, got the job done. I advanced and had a great event for it.